Kלים Perek Chavches Mishnah Ches, and we move on. Says the Mishnah, Bigdei Aniyim, Afal Pi She'ein Bem Sholosh Al Sholosh, Harei Elu Tmein Midos. There are many ways of learning this Mishnah. It's a difficult Mishnah. But here, I'm not going to do the Perish of the Bar Tanura. I'm going to present the Perish of the Rash. This Mishnah seems to be saying that there's a difference between begodim of poor people and begodim of rich people. It sounds like, from the first reading of the Mishnah, that if you have a beged which is less than 3 etzbois by 3 etzbois, a tiny piece of cloth, then if it belongs to an oni, it's still able to be mekabel tumas medris. However, that's not the way to learn this Mishnah. The way the Rash learns this Mishnah is, we're actually talking about a large beged, a full-size garment. However, it's torn into shreds, lots of tears and holes. It's so torn that there actually isn't there's no section which is sholosh al sholosh, 3 etzbois by 3 etzbois, which isn't torn. Every single bit is torn, not leaving an intact section of 3 etzbois by 3 etzbois hole which isn't torn. Says the Mishnah, if this beged, if it belongs to an oshir, then as far as we're concerned, this beged is completely torn and it's useless and it's tar. However, if it belongs to an oni, because the beged is a big beged, the fact that it's torn is not mevatel the shem beged, and therefore it stays as a beged, and because it's a big beged, it's actually mekabel tumas medris, it's as if it's not torn. That's the ratio of the Mishnah according to the Rash. Next case, talis hischil bala koira. You have a talis and you start tearing it. Says the Mishnah, kiven shenikra ruba. As soon as you tear and you've gone past 50%, the majority of tear has gone through more than 50% of the beged. At that point, the two sides, eina chibur, are not mechuber to each other. The Gemara, when it brings this Mishnah, actually puts in the words eina chibur utahira. Again, there's many ways of learning this Mishnah. The way Rashi learns this Mishnah is that because we're dealing not a piece of cloth, it says the word talis, which means it's actually a garment, it's a malbush. In the case of a piece of cloth which you just tear, as long as each piece by itself has the requisite shear of 3 tefachim by 3 tefachim, then that doesn't mean it's not a chibur, because you've still got a big cloth shaped like a U. But we're dealing with a talis. It's actually got a shame of a beged, it's a talis. In this case, as soon as you tear it more than 50%, you've lost the shame talis, and therefore if it was tomei, the talis becomes tor. And also ein chibur means that even after you tear it 50%, each bit by itself is able to be mekabel tum on its own right, because it is a cloth with the shear of 3 etzbois or 3 tefachim, but the two sides are not mechuber. If one side becomes tomei, the other side doesn't. The last case of the Mishnah is ha'ovim v'horakim ein b'hem mishum sholosh al sholosh. We have said before that any cloth, as long as it's got a shear of 3 etzbois by 3 etzbois, is able to be mekabel tumah. The Mishnah is telling us now this rule of this shear of 3 etzbois by 3 etzbois does not apply to begodim which are ovim and rakim. Ovim means they are extremely thick, sort of blanket thick, or begodim, Bar Tanura says, ovim v'agasim beyoser, extremely thick begodim, are not able to be used as a patch when they're 3 etzbois by 3 etzbois. They have to be bigger. They have to have the shear of 3 tefachim by 3 tefachim for all tumas. And similarly, if they're rakim, they're extremely thin, very flimsy, then again, in order for them to be mekabel tumah, they only have the shear of shloisha al shloisha, which is shloisha al shloisha tefachim.